You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back. Rudrance for Black and White Sports 2. Well, we're going to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo and some of the peel back the curtain stuff we're starting to get from the off season. There was very much a false narrative out there that no teams wanted Jimmy Garoppolo, and I knew for a fact that was not true. The Steelers were very much in on Jimmy Garoppolo, so were the Commanders. And same thing I'd heard, that the Commanders essentially, there was a trade there, okay? There was a trade that was worked out, and Jimmy had shoulder surgery. All of a sudden, said trade, the brakes were put on the trade, and the 49ers lost out on draft picks. And look, that's turned out, I believe, to be a blessing in disguise. And I don't hate Carson Wentz going to the Commanders either. In fact, if you look at the way Matt Ryan is playing with the Colts, something else is going on with Indianapolis, and it seems to confirm what I suspected, that Carson Wentz wasn't the problem in Indianapolis. I actually believed that. I knew Jim Irsay wanted to get rid of him, and Chris Ballard and Frank Wright didn't necessarily want to be out on Carson Wentz. Well, guess what? They still got the shit kicked out of them by the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. So you get the point. Let's get to this. 49ers and Commanders had the parameters of a Jimmy Garoppolo deal in place in February. Yep. This is Florio. Jimmy Garoppolo's surprise shoulder surgery derailed a trade that wouldn't have been all that surprising. Adam Schefter of ESPN.com reports at the scouting combine in February, the 49ers and Commanders had the parameters of a deal in place that would have sent Garoppolo from San Francisco to Washington. Per the report, the trade would have entailed multiple draft picks. The report doesn't address an equally important consideration. What would the Commanders have paid Garoppolo? Would they have accepted his existing contract without revisions? Or would they have wanted to redo the deal and extend it? My gut feeling is they would have added a year. Garoppolo was due to make more than $25 million his final year of his existing contract. It's hard to imagine the Commanders would have traded for him without extending the term of the deal and or driving down his 2022 cap number. In case you're wondering what that would have looked like, you know, they could have added a year and just made it a 2-year, $38 million deal, $19 million. You know, they could have added a year, made it, you know, a $34 million deal or something like that, $17 million each. But you get the point, right? It would have drove down the cap number, gave him a little more room. If the Commanders had wanted a new contract, Jimmy could have blocked a deal by declining. His way of doing so was to have surgery, since it kept him from having to, quote, ruffle feathers. Here's the real question. Would he have gotten the surgery if he was happy with the potential trade terms? Would he have passed a physical without shoulder surgery? He passed an exit physical with the Niners, and they were shopping him without knowing that he was planning to get the shoulder fixed. Regardless, it's not surprising that the trade talks happened. The Commanders made it clear they called every team to see whether their quarterback was available, given that they didn't get a chance to bid on Matthew Stafford a year earlier. Garoppolo was one of the few obvious trade candidates entering the 2022 season. So, and just while we're doing this, I'll just take a look at this right now. Carson Wentz trade. What did Washington give up for the trade? Washington acquired Wentz in a trade that became official Wednesday, swapping second-round picks with the Colts and also giving them a third round this year and a conditional third-rounder in 2023. I can almost tell you that's exactly the kind of deal that the Niners would have gotten for Garoppolo. It would have been like a third and then a conditional third for the next year, something like that anyway. So I knew there was a false narrative out there that nobody wanted Jimmy. Washington wanted him. I imagine if you give the Steelers truth serum at this point, I imagine Mike Tomlin wishes he had Jimmy Garoppolo right now. One of the things we've talked about on this channel is the fact that, frankly, all Jimmy does is win. I mean, out of that little group of sort of quarterbacks in that 12 to, say, 19 range in the league, Jimmy is the one that's far and away got the best winning percentage out of them. Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Carson Wentz, guys in that range. Last 3 or 4 years, Matt Ryan, guys in that little set right there. Guys that if your team is good around you, you can win ball games. Jimmy is the one that's got the wins in the regular season and in the playoffs. So it's not surprising that teams were in on Jimmy. Something happened there where, Jimmy decided he didn't want to go to Washington. So they decided to have the surgery. I'm sure he needed the surgery, but it may have been something that would have healed without surgery. So something went wrong there that caused a trigger, and it became a blessing in disguise. The Niners end up needing him. They end up re-signing him, and now he's back to being the starting quarterback on a team much better than the Commanders, right? So Jimmy came out smelling like a rose outside of having to give up so much money on that contract. So that's the one downfall. But now, if Jimmy goes out there, performs, wins 10, 11, 12 games, wins a game in the playoffs, Jimmy's going to cash a big contract next year with somebody. Somebody's finally going to break down and be like, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be our quarterback, period. This guy wins ball games, and they're just going to sign him. They'll give him 3 years and $60 million or something. But this kind of confirms what we have heard. We also heard that Seattle was in the starting gates waiting for him to be released from the Niners, and that the Rams and Garoppolo's people, Don Yee, the agent, had been talking, and he was looking at signing as Matthew Stafford's backup with the Rams had he been released. And I think some of that had to do with why the Niners kept him too. Because two of your rivals are looking at directly signing this quarterback. One of them would have easily been, Seattle, he's easily the best quarterback. It's not even close. So, and then he goes out there and he beats their butt 27-7. You get the point. Tell me what you think, Black and White Sports 2 fans. This just kind of confirms what we thought, right? And then the Steelers get Trubisky, and they draft Kenny Pickett. Now, the question is, would they have drafted Kenny Pickett? My gut feeling is yes. Yes. And who knows, Trubisky might have been the backup in San Francisco. Weird how things work out. Peace. I'm out. Till next time. Black and White Network supporters, make sure you check out the Black and White Network merchandise store. Make sure you use promo code USA First, all one word. USA First, all one word will get you 25% off. Go get them right now.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.